Hello, BookTube. Sorry for the odd hiccup in uploading yesterday. Some of you eagle-eyed observers may have noticed that one of the videos that I made yesterday, I turned the camera on and had a bunch of stuff to talk about, so I made a bunch of videos the way I do when you're a lonely and boring shut-in. That's what you do. And my upload speed last night, when I finally got around to uploading them, was so incredibly slow that I didn't, for the first time ever on BookTube, I ran out of time before I had uploaded all of my videos. Those of you who might be new to the channel, first of all, welcome. You'll get used to it, I hope. But you may not know, at midnight every night, I have a deadline, a personal deadline that I vary almost never. At midnight every night, I turn into a pumpkin. I turn off all electronics. I shut off the chattering world completely and just read. So my phone is not just powered down, it's powered off. My computer is closed and off and tucked away. Everything else, all of it is done. I just shut the world off at midnight, and that's that. That's just that. So if I have a BookTube video that's still uploading at midnight, I stop it. I cancel the whole process, shut off the computer, do it tomorrow. And that actually happened. I got I managed to upload 4 out of 5 videos. But the 5th one had to wait until this morning. Very strange. Hoping that doesn't happen again, especially when you've got things that are day sensitive. But again, I know perfectly well that if one of the big elements in why I do BookTube, aside from all your pretty faces, is that it's easy. If it weren't easy, I wouldn't do it. I know I wouldn't. Unlike a lot of other people on BookTube, I do not need BookTube to have people to talk about books with. I talk about books with everybody. I have a lot of bookish friends, people who are in the bookish world. I'm never at a loss for that. I do not need BookTube for it. So if BookTube is difficult, I'm going to be strongly tempted not to do it. That's why I don't try to wrestle with any kind of editing program, laying down sound separate from audio, syncing everything up, taking an hour to get the perfect thumbnail, any crap like that. Oh my God, no. I know myself well enough to know that if I did that, I'd stop doing this. And the same thing is true with upload speed, so I'm really hoping that that doesn't become the case. But one way or another, I won't make 5 videos every day, but I did want to come back today with a feature that I've done a few times on this channel that a lot of you seem to like, and that is to cover the books in one of the oddest, seemingly the oddest places that you would go looking for book coverage, which is Entertainment Weekly, the entertainment magazine that is popular in doctors' waiting rooms and you know, cafeterias and such. It's a cheap news supermarket checkout aisle entertainment magazine, all color glossy pages, just catching you up week by week in all of popular entertainment. And in the glitzy world of Hollywood-driven world of popular entertainment, the least popular thing is books. Yes, we are despised and smitten and spat upon. but the reason why it's actually viable for a feature like this on a BookTube channel is because, as we have demonstrated many times in this segment, the popular entertainment world is saturated with books. Saturated with it. It couldn't exist separate from it. Hollywood is incredibly dependent on literary stuff. As you only need to look at any month's offerings from Hollywood or Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or cable TV. Look at any month's offering, and you will see that better than a good solid 60%, and sometimes as high as 80% of it, will be derived from written sources, from literary sources. So that's not nothing. So I thought we'd go through this issue, but this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one to go through. Sometimes they're fun. This might end up being fun, but this is going to be tough, and the reason it's going to be tough is right there on the cover. The cover is Captain Marvel, and that means the culture wars. And as I've mentioned in a few videos lately, I have sort of made a mental decision to stay as far away from the culture wars as possible. They are so corrosive. They are just composed of just spattered acid in all directions. There's no way to be neutral. There's no way to look at both sides. There's no way to be analytic. You are the sides involved in the culture war demand not only that you declare a side, but once you've declared a side, the people on the other side don't just disagree with you. They want you dead. I'm not talking metaphorically. They don't want you out of the conversation. They don't want to convince you that you're wrong. They want you dead. As in not alive anymore. That is not true in any other part of our society. But in the culture wars, it is zero sum. It is completely no prisoners. And that's a caustic, horrible way it's a caustic, horrible thing to make any contact with. And you might be thinking, well, okay, it looks like it's a Marvel superhero movie. So why would that be part of the culture wars? But it is. The Captain Marvel movie, which comes out in a week, is a flashpoint of the culture wars. The star, Brie Larson, brings a lot of that on herself. She in fact is largely responsible for making Captain Marvel into a flashpoint of the culture war, because she keeps talking about it as a feminist, intersectional feminist propaganda movie, an activist movie. It's not. It's a superhero popcorn movie. It's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's the next Marvel Cinematic Universe stepping stone in the grand plan that is going to end with the next Avengers movie, I think later this year. It's not Norma Rae. It's about an Earth woman who gets superpowers and flies around in space and fights aliens. And if the actress Brie Larson, who won an Oscar, if she hadn't done the kind of press statements that she has done in advance of this movie, I don't think it would be part of the culture wars. I think people would just be looking at it as a second-tier Marvel movie, like Ant-Man. Instead, she has made it pretty clear that in her mind, there are people out there for whom this movie is not intended. Their attendance, their attention, their support and engagement is not wanted. That's a terrible thing to do. For just a plain neutral fact of the face of it, that's a terrible thing to do for a movie studio or for an actor in a movie, to say, yeah, well, if you are a box X, Y, or Z, this movie isn't for you, and I'd rather not see you. I'd rather not hear anything that you have to say about it. It's really not for you. What Marvel movie does that? What Marvel movie is exclusionary instead of inclusive? None that I can think of, unless you're a Hydra agent. Marvel movies are pretty hard on you if you're a Hydra agent, but they probably still want your money. But not Captain Marvel. Thanks largely to its star. Samuel Jackson plays a very young Nick Fury, 2 eyes. He's been CG'd all to hell and gone in the movie so that he looks convincingly younger. And that in itself is eerie and a stepping stone in the direction that I have often thought movies would go. I said 15 years ago that I suddenly knew that I would live to see a new John Wayne movie in which someone, an algorithm, the greatest algorithm, something that hasn't even been invented yet, takes him and Audrey Hepburn and Katharine Hepburn and Henry Fonda and just consumes all of their audio, all of their interviews, all of their movies, every scrap of visuals, and learns how to just make them and how to insert them with real life characters, with real life flesh and blood actors. It wouldn't even have to be a special effects movie. It could be an ordinary relationship drama. And you have, let's say, Brie Larson. Let's say Brie Larson is starring in a movie. You have her, and in the same scene in which let's say she's a New York socialite, and she's dealing with an author of a firebrand book, let's say. And in the scene on set, she is acting alongside an actor who is very carefully 6'1", but who is unknown. He's a stagehand, and he's got the CGI sensors all over his body. And the reason he has that, he's saying lines, but it doesn't matter because they're just for her to play off. It's not going to be his reading in the movie that comes out. The reason that he looks that way is because Brie Larson is starring in that movie with Sidney Poitier. With a young 30-year-old Sidney Poitier. Because the AI involved can produce him, given the right motion capture. That is coming. And in this movie, I'm amazed. In a normal universe, Brie Larson's they seem somewhat brainless, or somewhat brainless political opinions wouldn't matter so much as the fact that we have a 30-year-old Samuel Jackson on screen convincingly. You believe it the whole time. That ought to be the thing that people are talking about. But one way or another, for this to be on the cover is bad enough. But I don't know if you can read the caption says, "Intergalactic odd couple Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson return to 1995 to fight aliens, sexism." And that situates Captain Marvel squarely as a culture war comic movie, and that's bad. That's very bad. That means, I mean, I have a screener, I've seen it, but I was kind of going to see it in the theater, and I'm not going to do that. Absolutely not. Because you could get eggs thrown at you. You could get rocks thrown at you. Because sides have been drawn on this thing, as in all culture war things. And the sides are total. They are Game of Thrones. So it's not, you know, on March the 9th, if you go to a college cafeteria and you say, yeah, well, I didn't really like Captain Marvel because I thought it was a little preachy, you will be physically attacked. And the same thing if you go to, you know, Charleston Bar and you say, yeah, I really like Captain Marvel, but I didn't think it was preachy enough, you will be attacked. So that's what the culture wars, that's why they're so cancerous, that I try to avoid them. And that's rough, because this is a whole article on the thing. But we'll see what else we can find. Maybe we can find some literary stuff. Another thing that's going to be tough about this issue is that this is the post-Oscar issue. And the Oscars were every bit as hard to watch as I thought they would be. A couple of tremendously talented people won awards, and that's wonderful. But the evening, a part of the evening was also, as I expected, an absolute prostrating veneration of Bradley Cooper. And that's tough to do. It's very tough to do, because he can act just well enough to be unconvincingly humble. When Lady Gaga or somebody else says, as far as I'm concerned, you're the greatest thing since Jesus, when Bradley Cooper's face is, oh, come on, you're embarrassing me in front of all these people, you can't miss in his eyes that his first and real reaction is, well, if you think that, then why'd you mention Jesus? And gee, I'd like to punch you because you did. How this guy hasn't been Me Too'd yet, I have no idea. But anyway, we'll skip over the Oscar stuff. The first thing we're going to get to is the must list, where the various editors at Entertainment Weekly pick out things that they think you simply must pay attention to, and some of them are books. One of them I'm seeing here is that Queen Bey book that we got about Beyonce. I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to read the book, so... oh, okay. But the other book mentioned is by Andrew Ridker, and it's The Altruist. David Canfield talks about The Altruist, Andrew Ridker's debut novel, which I thought was pretty good. I actually liked it from beginning to end, even the last 50 pages, which ordinarily that's when debut novels just fall apart, and this one didn't. And Canfield likes it too. It's good. Ridker spins delicate moral dilemmas in a novel that grows more complex and more uproarious by the page, culminating in an unforgettable climax. That's actually true. So great. Fantastic. All right, so the must list had 2 books in it. One, I'm afraid I can't comment on. The other one, I recommend. I recommend The Altruist. Then we have, okay, there's an article on the Jussie Smollett scandal, that he simulated an attack on himself, a racist and Trumpist attack on himself, and it was all false. It was all fake. And the left-leaning media, which is the preponderance of media in America, is falling over themselves to say, yeah, we trumpeted, you know, the wrongness of this attack right along with him, and we were fooled, but let's cut the guy some slack, because the injustices that he talks about are real. They just weren't real in his case. And I was howling the whole time thinking, you have just given a priceless weapon into the hands of your enemies. How you could have thought you would get away with it, I have no idea, but you have made the wrong people immeasurably more powerful. And that's just, so I don't want to read the timeline of this whole story. I'm sure there's going to be a book on it, and I don't, okay, then we have the Oscar celebration. 2 of the fantastically talented people that I mentioned are actually in that picture. But still, there's, for me, there's more to lament about the Oscars than to, let's just sort of page straight. Okay, here we go. So here's the big cover feature on Captain Marvel. It's by Devin Coggan. It's called The Fast and Fury, because it's Nick Fury, and it looks like it's a dual interview with Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson. They sat down together for a press thing. And it's not going to be easy to read. At one point, the interviewer says, this film is Carol Danvers' story. Carol Danvers is the new incarnation of Captain Marvel. She's military personnel who gains superpowers. But it's also a story about female friendships, especially in Carol's relationship with Maria Rambo and her daughter. What was it about that theme you wanted to explore? And Brie Larson answers, I think it's because it's 2019, and what 2019 is about, really, is intersectional feminism. And I'm just hoping that, I mean, a lot of that comes through in the movie. I'm hoping that the movie does well. And the bulk of the American popcorn movie-going population has no interest in the culture wars. They do not want to be a part of them in any way. And the part of the culture wars that they hate more than any other is lecturing, is the shrill lecturing tone, the 20-something college undergraduate sighing to someone who's 70 and saying, look, I only have a little bit of time right now to educate you on this subject in which you hold 4 doctorates. I only have a little bit of time right now to educate you. I can do it in installments, but right now I'm kind of busy. There's a show I want to binge, but I'll try. It turns out that biologically speaking, there are 781 genders. And if you'll just, let go of your stupid non-woke prejudices for a minute, I'll try to walk you through it, but you're really dumb. The huge bulk of the American population hates that aspect of woke current year thinking. They hate it, and they reject it. It's a large part of why they embraced a troglodyte like Donald Trump. Not to embrace him, but to reject that. And that has led to one of the alt-right's famous phrases, get woke, go broke. If you embrace an explicitly shrill and lecturing, educating, woke mind frame in a product that has never before exhibited it, that product will fail financially. It's been an almost universal truth, and I worry that it's going to happen with Captain Marvel. And I don't worry because that will, again, hand a cudgel into the hands of some people who really don't deserve to be encouraged. They really don't. Because the culture wars are odd. I won't digress on this any longer than strictly necessary, but the culture wars are the main corrosive thing about them. The main thing that makes them odd is that there's fundamental deceit going on both sides, where each side does not want to be revealed as what it really is. Both sides are play acting to a middle. And so on the progressive SJW woke side, those... Oh. It's happening again. Oh my God. Hi, baby. Hi. Oh, I can't believe she keeps doing this. They weren't listening to me anyway, baby. Oh. What was I saying? I don't even remember. I have the cutest dog in the world. Oh yes, both sides of this war are lying about themselves, and both sides are trying to be very careful not to have you see through the lie. On the SJW woke side, the lie is that they are disinterestedly passionate about social advancement, about how we need more representation. We need, hi, baby, more demographic fairness. All those things are true. We need fewer industries that are just routinely sexist, routinely exclusionary. We need a more level playing field of opportunity for brilliant people to advance without simply being told at some point, you are brilliant, but you're not advancing because of these factors that you have no say over. On the surface, that SJW progressive crowd wants you to see them as disinterestedly passionate about that. What they don't want you to see is what they are underneath that, which is viciously fascist. They don't just want to advance that cause. In fact, I say, they primarily don't even mostly want to do that. They mostly want to crush dissent. And they're willing to do anything to do it. If you argue with a Trump person, for instance, a Trump supporter on social media, I don't advocate doing any of this, but if you argue with a Trump supporter on social media, you might get called a name 30 or 40 exchanges in, but that's it. If you argue with an SJW on social media, the very first thing that will happen, the very first thing, number one, before you even have a rejoinder, you will be doxxed. They will do their best to find out and publish in the thread that you're talking to your home address, your workplace, terrorist activities, physical attacks on you is the very first thing that they do, because they don't just want to win an argument. They want to kill their opponents. That is not largely true for the other side, but the other side has a thing to hide too. And they also are trying hard to draw your attention away from what they really are. Both sides are. On the other side, the alt-right side, for lack of a better term, whatever you want to call it, they would say the normal side, that they represent non-weird people. But one way or another, that's not true. They have as much of an extreme political position as their opponents. And they would say that what they really want is not to be preached to. They would say, we don't like being called, or imply by implication or explicitly, racist or sexist, just because we like the things we like and always have. We can prove that from our likes and dislikes that we are perfectly okay with actors, authors, TV shows, superheroes of a different color, skin color, of different gender, provided, as their mantra is always, provided as good stories. All we want is good stories. And they say that on the surface, just like their counterparts say, social equality and social progress on the surface. And underneath their surface, they don't want you to see that in a lot of cases they are the very things they claim they're not. That they are racist. They are, to a T, to the last one, sexist. And they don't want you to see that. So the horrible thing about the culture wars on the surface is that it's all lies. Both sides are lying about each other, about themselves, to you in order to convince you to join them. And in a way, it's subversive because they're also asking you to lie about yourself. You have to buy into the lie they're telling about themselves and say, okay, which of these two lies about what I'm really like do I want to tell? Do I say all day long that I think women ought to be paid the exact same amount as men for the exact same job done in the exact same way? But really what I want is to crush people who disagree with me? And if I am that way, instead of being encouraged not to want to crush people who disagree with me, I'm being encouraged to buy into a lie. To be that way and gain the strength of a mob to do it, all the while espousing something that I claim to believe in. Or on the other side, am I really, on the inside, a totally reconstructed bigot like Archie Bunker? And I want to join a crowd of people like that, and my entrance card is that I have to learn to lie in a specific way? Anyway, oh God, we're not even halfway through the issue, and I'm already digressing. Let's forge straight ahead here. So first we get to the categories at the back of the magazine. So we have movies, and movies aren't going to do us any good, except maybe to note that a lot of them are based on books. But then we get to TV, and TV's not going to do us any good because I don't watch a whole lot of TV. Except that, of course, when it comes to TV, we're talking about the second season of American Gods, which is based on a book. Look at that. Oh, that is sad. An obituary for Peter York of the Monkees, who died just recently in his 70s. After a horrible illness, he died. Boy, so that's going to make a lot of people feel really old, because there are some people in this audience, of my audience, and a lot of people reading Entertainment Weekly remember when Peter York looked like that, and they did too. And that's not true anymore, so that's a little rough. Paid full color tobacco ads, then what to watch, then the music section, which does Steve no good. But as we eventually get back to the books, we get to the back of the issue. Yeah, okay. Oh God. Oh, all right. Okay, this is just going to be a tough issue. So the first one is the new Helen Oyeyemi. This is Gingerbread. And Entertainment Weekly will like it because you have to. It's unbelievably boring. It's just a turgid block of cement. But you have to like it for the aforementioned culture war reasons. You can't say this is bad because you'll be called a sexist. So this is reviewed by David Canfield, who does a great job, and ordinarily doesn't let things like that get in his way. But in a case like Helen Oyeyemi, there's no way. Okay, he gives it a B+, which is they don't usually go much lower than B, so that's fairly low as far as he's concerned. What a strange, ponderous book this is. Without the searing focus of Boy, Snow, Bird, or the emotional sweep of Mr. Fox, but still a beautifully, wildly inventive beast. It is ponderous. It is not beautiful or wildly inventive. Nobody else writes like this. Oh, for God's sake. I can show you 50 people who write exactly like this. This is the way to write in 2019. Nobody else writes like this, puncturing the timelessly poetic with harshly contemporary asides, animating plants and dolls with a cool nonchalance. And how is it that this dark, nutty novel exudes cozy warmth above all? I didn't notice it. Okay. The next article, also by David Canfield, because he never stops. He does a huge amount of work for Entertainment Weekly. And this is about Killing Eve. Killing Eve was it's a TV, it's a video production that I mentioned in a previous issue of Entertainment Weekly that I didn't know anything about. And it turns out that it is based on books. It's based on books by Luke Jennings, the Villanelle novels. Oh. Hey, baby. But you're all over this video, aren't you? We're almost done. Then I'll be all yours. So this has a piece on that, but not a review of any of the books. And then the last review is another punch to the gut for Steve. It's Valerie Lucielli's new book, The Lost Children Archive. This is reviewed by Leah Greenblatt. It's terrible. Just terrible. It's the author saying over and over again, I'm working on a book. I'm working on a book. Please don't disturb me. I'm working on a book. And then finally deciding, well, I've got a deadline and I can't return the advance. I've got all these fragments and chapters and crap that ordinarily goes into making a book. Instead, I'm just going to literally sweep them across the counter into a manuscript file, and that will be my book. And there is almost no pretense overlaid on this piece of garbage to dispel that notion. That's just what it is, and that. Ugh. But anyway, it gets an A-, of course, because you can't not like it. She's the #1 bandwagon in the fiction literary world now. Packaged like a sort of impressionistic scrapbook. Yes, scattered with songs, lyrics, sketches, and Polaroids, the novel drifts almost dreamlike between the personal and the political, finding beguiling detours and cul-de-sacs as it goes. By its feverish climax, the last 20 pages spill out in one single streaming sentence. Lucielli isn't just giving us a story, she's showing us new ways to see. Oh my God, Leah Greenblatt. Oh, have a nice lay down, please. Oh God. Okay, well, that is the Books and Entertainment Weekly this time around. It's Helen Oyeyemi and Valerie Lucielli. So it was never going to be. But that is this issue. So this is tough. This was a tough issue of Entertainment Weekly. We'll hope for better next time. This is the Culture Wars from the front of the issue to the back of the issue. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up and see what's got my beans so worked up. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.